everybody. Welcome to the 4th episode of Valiant Effort. My name is Josh.
And I'm Nick. The name of this episode is the Michelangelo Code.
So our listeners don't really know it because of the way that we launched our show, but we have not talked comics for 3 weeks.
No, we have not, because we have been very focused on getting the 3 previous podcasts up on iTunes, websites. We've been focused on a bunch of other things.
And that's not it. What else might have happened? Did you take a vacation, Nick?
Yeah, I went up to Vermont. Is this what you're alluding to?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Yes, a big news on my front. This is very weird for me to say still, because it's not even a week old, but I am engaged.
Yay!
Yay! As I have been telling other people, I have been betrothed.
So since we've launched, we've had 2 episodes that people could have reacted to, and we put our 3rd episode up today, the day that we're recording this. And fan response has been really fantastic, and I really appreciate it, guys. We've gotten emails and Twitter responses, and we've heard from you on the boards and
iTunes comments.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
It makes it a lot of fun to
We
do.
are loving your feedback. We enjoy it. We read every single thing that you guys have been saying about us. So please continue, because we are absolutely thrilled, and it's really, really giving fuel for us to continue to do this.
So thank you guys for that.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. I just want to touch real quickly. In the very first episode, I had mentioned that I read a few comics. I read a Batman comic and some DuckTales. I was rummaging through my attic trying to find a notebook, and I found the Batman comic, and it's issue number 445. It takes place. It's like Batman is in front of the Taj Mahal in Russia, or
Okay, the Taj Mahal is in India.
Well, I know that it takes place in Russia because that's the
Yes.
Russian hammer and sickle right there, but
Yeah.
it looks like the Taj Mahal.
No.
I know that the Taj Mahal is in India. I want to make that clear, but I didn't, because this is comic book universe. I don't know if they just take, the Great Wall of China and put it in Brazil. I don't know what they do.
I'll let you know that in the DC universe, the Taj Mahal is also in India.
Okay.
Nick,
What about in the Marvel universe?
Nick, this copy is really beat up.
Yeah, I know. It's because I don't care.
I think that if we put that on eBay, we could get ones of cents for it.
You really think so?
Yeah.
Oh.
I think you'd have to pay somebody to take that, actually.
It's not that bad.
You get the reverse shipping.
It cost $1. That's right here. In Canada, it was $1.25. So I better get at least $1 for this. I know that we're going to get off this for a minute, but again, tying into the first episode, we talked about decompression real quickly, and just looking real briefly at this old comic compared to the Valiant comics, there's a lot more reading to this. A lot more. And I could see how this would take a lot longer to get through, rather than today's standards. However, Archer and Armstrong took me a long time to get through. A lot longer than the other 3.
The story starts in ancient Mesopotamia with the 3 Antipater brothers, Jalad, who's dead, Aram, who's angry, and Ivar, who is insane. Ivar has come into the possession of a device called the Boon, and before Aram can stop him, Ivar unleashes the Boon's power, killing everyone on Earth. Fast forward to today, where we are introduced to Archer, an expert in martial arts and being a nice guy. Archer leaves his home on a mission from his parents to go travel to New York and kill Armstrong, also known as Aram from the prologue, but less angry and more drunk. Archer and Armstrong are both captured by the Sect, an organization devoted to the destruction of Armstrong. They are brought to the lair of the 1%, where Archer learns that his parents, who are trying to reassemble the Boon, don't care if Archer lives or dies. Archer and Armstrong become allies and escape the 1%. They travel to Rome in search of more pieces of the Boon. They meet one of Armstrong's friends, Tommy, a nun, who helps them find a hidden chamber below the Vatican where they encounter the Sisters of Perpetual Darkness. The 3 defeat the Sisters. Archer is reunited with his adopted sister, Mary Maria. He tries to convince her that their parents are only interested in reassembling the Boon, but she does not believe him. She blinds Armstrong, steals the pieces of the Boons they have already acquired, and kills Tommy. Archer and Armstrong travel to Ladakh, Tibet, where the Green Dragon Llamas, another division of the sect, have completed reassembling the boon thanks to the Dominion's help. The boon, when reactivated, begins killing everyone. Archer is able to shut the boon off, but the Geomancer is killed in the process. Before we begin talking about this, I wanted to ask you a question about conspiracy stories. And I was wondering what, in your opinion, qualified a story to be considered a conspiracy story. When I had my dad read these comics, his comment was that they're all conspiracy stories. And he was a little kind of annoyed by that. So the secret society in Exo Man of War's The Vine. The secret society in Harbinger is Harada conglomerates because they're doing stuff that is not necessarily on the up and up. The secret organization in Bloodshot is Project Rising Spirit, and the secret organization in Archer and Armstrong is the Sect. So all four of these stories have secret organizations. Now this, Archer and Armstrong, makes fun of that concept, whereas the other ones take it a lot more seriously. Is it too much conspiracies? Can you tell a story without going against the man? Did you notice that?
No, I didn't notice that.
Does it bother you now that I mentioned it?
No, not at all, because it's not...
Doesn't bother me either, Dad.
I do know what you're saying now about the conspiracy thing, and yes, I agree that there's conspiracies, because a conspiracy, whenever there's a giant organization, a giant group, whatever it is, whether it's the government or a big conglomerate, when they have hidden motives or seemingly hidden motives, that's what makes a conspiracy. But that's what kind of draws me into the stories, or has been so far.
So this story begins in a true Valiant tradition. It begins with a flashback. We start in ancient Mesopotamia, and we see the three Anapatta brothers. Aram, who is Armstrong later.
Yeah. Gilad's in there! The very first word is Gilad. And or Gilad, I don't know.
I like Gilad. I think you can pronounce it either way.
I've been really excited about reading about him.
But he's dead.
I know! But I know that he's the Eternal Warrior, so I know he's not really dead. Because of the timeline that I read of yours, which is my very first experience of Valiant. So I was really, really excited.
But he doesn't have the scars. So that happened after this, and he obviously is alive.
Yeah,
later.
Well, I know he's alive. I know he's alive,
but
because
so he's dead. And then there's a third brother that you didn't know about.
Yeah,
Ivar.
Ivar,
yes. And Ivar is my favorite of the three brothers.
Oh.
But in this, he is a lot darker than he was before. I'm really excited that all three brothers are there.
Okay, I didn't realize that Gilad had brothers when I first started reading this. I do want to mention, though, that the very first text box says it's Tuesday. And I'm glad that we established it's Tuesday. I hope there's a significance to that. It makes no sense to me. I just found that funny. It's Tuesday. Okay.
This comic is a lot more lighthearted than the three previous.
Well, from what I've read, yes. And that was very enjoyable.
The story begins in Ur, and we're really getting the story of the flood, I think.
Oh, Noah's Ark?
Noah's Ark,
yes.
Yeah. So the boon, that's pretty powerful.
Yeah, and what are those symbols on there? They look runic to me.
So that's a good question. I don't think that they're runes either. Would you like me to tell you what I think they are?
Sure, because I was trying to figure them out.
We don't know where... Well, certainly at this point in the story, we don't know where the boon came from. And even later, when we learn a little bit more about the boon, we still don't really know where it came from. I would not be surprised if that was alien text.
Or PlayStation 2, because they both look similar.
Yeah, it does look like a PlayStation 2.
Clearly, it's alien-made. I mean, it's got the symbols on the side. So you think that the symbols are not runic, but they're alien text.
I do think that.
So on the next page, when it said that all flesh had died on Earth, I was thinking in my head about making a Bible reference. But I was like, no, that's got to be too controversial. And then it says Genesis chapter 7, verses 21, 22, and 23. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
This really is.
That's from the Bible, man.
I didn't know that. I had no idea. I have not read the Bible. I've read the children's Bible.
You did not read the children's
Yes, I do. I have the children's Bible. You want to bring that in for next time?
Yeah, you bring in the children's Bible, and we'll find this part in Genesis.
Okay. No, this is not going to mention
the part in Genesis where all of life was wiped out.
Everybody in the world is not going to die.
Noah's got to be in the children's Bible.
I don't remember. All I remember is like, ooh, there's naked people on here. Okay, then we fast forward to today.
With Little Rush.
It's still Tuesday, thank God. No pun intended. So I'm just kind of like, I don't know, just the Creation Museum just gets my blood boiling.
This page got you mad.
Yes, in many ways.
This page got other people mad in other ways because they felt that it was a poor portrayal of Christianity.
How is this a poor portrayal of Christianity? Because I'm not a Christian.
Well, I think that if I were a person of faith, that I would be very offended by this. I think that you can be Christian and not be writing a rascal.
I'm just taking this as a sort of satire.
It is.
A satire.
That's what it is. Yes, it is absolutely satire. I think that later on in the story, and I'll mention it when we get there, we see examples of Christianity paid in a more positive light. I don't know where our listeners fall on this, but the Creation Museum is a joke. I mean, it's terrible to have children go there and think that they're being educated. It has nothing to do with the reality of science. And Christian scientists will tell you the same thing.
That's why this infuriated me, because this happens. This really happens.
That people go to that museum in Kentucky.
People go to that museum and they see people with dinosaurs just walking around. And that's not what happened. Okay, the kid's just like, I want to ride the dinosaur like they did in the caveman times. It was these few pages were very hard for me to read. So then we're met up with Archer, and he's kicking the crap out of everybody. And then we meet his parents, who look like hollow shells of people because of their wide-eyed and motionless grins. And they're talking about religion and how, it's God's will that he go out and do this thing for them. This was weird for me, is that they told him that he needed to go to the festering isle of corruption and criminality. Then he said, New York? And I was wondering how he arrived at New York so quickly, because New York is not an island. New York City is an island, Manhattan is an island, but not New York as a whole. And that's where my mind went. Like, why did you go to New York?
Because that's what his parents have always said.
Oh.
Again, this is another funny line that you are taking too seriously. It was hilarious. That he would go, oh, of course, New York.
Well, maybe I'm just in the serious mindset.
This is not serious.
Trades.
This is not serious. Fred Van Lente is a much more humorous writer than the other ones that we've seen. All his works have been steeped in sarcastic humor.
Well, the humor has, as I continued to read on, became way more apparent than what I was. At this point, I was still in the serious mode and just in a questioning type phase, I see. I guess.
But yeah, that's one of the things that we do with you here is that I don't tell you anything about the book at all. And so you have no idea what you're getting into. So what did you think of all his fighting styles?
It's like, okay, he knows how to fight all these things. And I thought that having the box there to tell us what he knew was interesting. But he knows everything. How does he know all these things? I know that he has this gift where he learns whatever he sees. That's pretty cool. It's like the Matrix.
Yeah, he can tap into the Akashic record.
Yeah, that was
over your head?
That was no, not really. That to me was that everyone could tap into all of knowledge ever, and that's the Akashic, whatever you call it. Whatever they needed to know, they should do it immediately.
But certain people have the ability to tap into it.
Yeah.
And he's really good at that.
It's not tangible, though.
Right. It's like a memory of all that have come before.
Yeah, okay.
And that he can tap into it.
That's a pretty cool concept.
It is pretty cool, yeah. I like it.
Yeah. But then so going back to where we were, the next panel, he's saying bye to people. I didn't know who these people were. Where'd they come from? How did we get to this scene? He's fighting people, and all of a sudden he said, bye to these other people.
They're his family.
I didn't know that at that point. And then all of a sudden, and they didn't even say that they were his family. They're just like, oh, bye, person. Oh, what is the... Mary Marie was talking to him. Mary Maria. Whatever. Maria. Any other way to say Mary? Mari.
I'm not being a jerk. I just don't want you to keep pronouncing it wrong. So that people write into us.
Mary Maria was talking to Archer, and I was confused at what the dotted lines meant around the balloons.
She's whispering.
That's what that means?
Yes.
Okay. Good to know. Still learning these things.
That's okay. That's a good question.
Okay. And then he leaves and he goes to New York. And he actually has a good point about New York with his observations, where he's saying that it's just drenched in sex, but everything else is just to be bought, consumed, and then thrown away. And it's just a waste, and everything just doesn't... Nobody stops to take a look around them and just enjoy life. But it's not just New York. It's pretty much everywhere you go in the world. And then he's like, oh, my parents or whoever told me to go into the meatpacking district. Like, no, dude, don't go in there. You're super religious. Don't go into the meatpacking district. And then we meet Armstrong in the bar.
We do.
Armstrong confused me at first. He was speaking gibberish. He was drunk. He spoke Latin, and he was talking about sports teams playing each other when they don't even belong in the same sport. He's got the Boston Red Sox versus the New York Giants. I have no idea what was going on in this scene. He was confusing me.
Okay, so the Giants in the past were a New York team, and then they moved to San Francisco. He's not talking about the football team. He's talking about the baseball team.
Why is he talking about the baseball team? The baseball team doesn't exist anymore.
Because he is an immortal. But you don't know that, of course, right away.
I didn't know that. I thought he was just some random guy. Well...
Did you not even realize that he was...
No, I didn't realize that he was a Rom. At all. And actually, like a few pages in, I was like, oh, that's the same guy. I went back and I looked to see if he was drawn the same. He's like a little fatter or whatever, but, 10,000 years will do that to you.
So all the brothers are immortal.
Again, I didn't know that. I just thought it was him.
Sure.
I thought everyone else perished, which confused the crap out of me, because if everybody died and he's a sole survivor, how the hell did humanity survive?
Well, that's a good question. I'm sure not everybody died. So Armstrong employs my favorite fighting style of all, vomit fighting.
He looked really sick in that scene, and that confused me too. Like, why do you look so sad in this scene? And all of a sudden, bleh, projectile vomit. Oh, that picture of both of them with Archer punching him in the face and Armstrong just like...
Where they're leaning on each other.
Yeah. That was pretty funny.
So then they're captured by the sect, and they're brought to the lair of the 1%. This is confusing. There's a lot going on.
There's a lot going on. When they get captured, it was... Archer is asking, where they are, and... Armstrong says, I think we're here and here and here. He said that Washington was a partier. And I thought that was pretty cool. I never would have guessed Washington was a partier.
He lost his teeth somehow.
Yeah, that's true. And then we meet the 1%. Like you said, I don't like masquerade parties. You look so silly and stupid. I mean, it reminds me of that Easter episode of South Park. Fantastic Easter Special was the name of the episode, and they're all wearing bunny ears and... I just don't like masquerade parties because they just look silly, and so I just don't understand the point of them. I mean, I know that they're trying to hide the identity of each other from each other so that nobody knows who they are. But there's got to be a better way to do it than wear silly, stupid masks.
But they're silly.
I know that
they're supposed to look silly.
Touche, I gotcha. But I know that this is a real thing. Masquerade parties are real.
Yes, but the 1% gathering in New York and talking about stock derivatives while they're beating people up as part of a massive conspiracy, that's probably not real. Maybe a little bit.
Could be. I didn't know that this was written as early as the whole 99% thing. Is this in reference to that?
Yeah, that was very prevalent at the time.
Okay.
The 1%.
So again, this is their word of the day, satire
Yes.
of the 99%.
Yes.
I like that tie-in. I think it's cool.
And as we learn in the second issue, the 1% who are money worshippers can also be equated to Satan worshippers, because they decide that they're going to sacrifice Armstrong, and he starts speaking in tongues, doing a ceremony to kill Armstrong. Bagabi laka bakabe. What's really funny to me about this is I looked that up.
Yeah.
I wanted to know what that was. And I found a reference to it, and it's gibberish. There's no root origin for these words. These are fake words that somebody made up for a Satan worshiping ceremony. And to combine that with also saying exchange traded derivative contracts, that's also gibberish and nonsense. To me, the author is saying that these are all nonsense words.
I thought this was interesting as well, is that they wanted to restore the financial balance in the world by leveling Greece. Wasn't Greece's stock exchange threatening to crash around that time?
Yep.
Again, really cool tie-in to the real world. Oh, by the way, is this still Tuesday? I'm really hoping it's still Tuesday at this point.
Yeah, it's not Tuesday.
Oh, crap.
One of the things about Valiant is it's the world outside your window. That, okay, there's superheroes, but what would life be like if there were? So now they've escaped the 1%. They fought off the 1%, and they're ready to go searching for other parts of the boon. And to me, this is when the story became national treasure. Like, I expected any minute Nicolas Cage to come out and say, "We're going to steal the Declaration of Independence." Or it's the Da Vinci Code.
Yeah,
It's also the Da
Da
Vinci
Vinci Code.
Yeah. Which
they made reference to.
He's doing on purpose. He's making fun of those movies. Although, I think National Treasure is making fun of itself.
Well, at least by the second one, which I didn't watch because I didn't like the first one.
It's hilarious. Both movies are hilarious.
I like Armstrong's casual personality at this point. It's really getting to me. I like that slapstickiness, and
he's seen a lot.
Yeah,
and so he just takes life as it comes. He has no energy for being uptight.
Yeah, well, after 10,000 years, I can totally understand that. Either you can go one way or the other. You could either just be completely depressed and hate yourself because you can't die, or you can just be like, I'm just gonna live day by day.
Can you imagine living that long?
No. I don't think I would be able to keep my sanity. I mean, I'm sure that at some point.
Would you drink?
Yeah. I mean, if I knew I couldn't die, absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm
helps
sure,
you get through it.
I'm sure at some point he had a period of just self-loathing and, like, I can't die. I just want to die and I don't want to do this anymore. But then you get to acceptance and you just kind of do what he's doing now. Maybe he found acceptance through drinking.
So he found one of the steps in AA through drinking.
Okay, so they escaped, and now they're going to Rome. Are they going to bump into Eric? Because that would be awesome.
Oh,
and then they cross by the Colosseum, and you can see where he trashed the Colosseum. At least that's what I am taking it out to be. I mean, I know that the Colosseum is already pretty dilapidated as it is. But it would just be really interesting to know that maybe that's broken because Eric
that'd be cool.
Blew through it in Man of War. That would be pretty cool. And also, they are riding through the streets of Rome, and Archer is afraid of the way he's driving. Armstrong says that it's like the movie Death Race 2000. That is one of my favorite references that he's made so far. I don't know if you've ever seen that movie, but I saw that movie when I was in college, and it is hilariously bad. It's so campy. It stars Sylvester Stallone and David Carradine. The premise of the movie, I think they remade it, just called it Death Race a few years ago. But the premise of the movie is that it's a race where the drivers drive around a course from, I think it's from one end of the country to the next, and they kill as many people as they can while driving. And Sylvester Stallone's car had a giant Bowie knife grafted to the front of it, so he would just kill people on the way there.
I'm a little hurt that you would ask me if I've seen it. You're the one who showed me that movie.
You know how my memory is. It sucks.
So they meet Tommy.
By me asking if you saw it, I was actually asking the viewers.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay. So they meet Tommy, the nun.
Tommy the nun, who is also reminds me of the Black Lagoon anime series, because there's a nun with an eye patch who wields guns and is just like this nun here. And I thought that was awesome too.
I like Tommy a lot. Then they end up in the catacombs of the Vatican, and we're introduced to the Sisters of Perpetual Darkness, another division of the sect. So
I did not. They fell through this thing, and people are just there. Where did they come from?
That's where they live.
That's when. So they live underground.
Well, yeah. Look at them. They're ash white. They don't see a lot of light.
I thought they had masks on.
No, that's their skin.
Oh, wow, those look like masks.
No, that's them.
Oh.
Yeah, they live there.
Okay.
And that's why they're like that.
Okay, so that's the end of that book, and I really liked the very last panel on that. Everything about the last panel in book 2 is hilarious. I love the bottom. Plus, Ninja nuns.
Ninja nuns. The original Archer Armstrong series also had ninja nuns. It's fantastic. It's great.
And then we get into the first few pages of book 3, and there's already another turtle reference. There's katanas, there's sais, there's nunchucks. Where's the bow staff? Turn one page. There it is! The bow staff! All the weapons of the turtles are right there. I mean, you don't draw a sai without knowing that you're going to have some turtle reference. I mean, a sai is synonymous to Raphael. When Archer holds up the bow staff after he knocks it out of that nun's hand, and the way that they draw it with the lines flying over it and the yellow, all I heard in my head was the ta-da sound. Like that cheap Windows noise. Ta-da! And this is where I realized that Aram was not Jalad, whatever.
Aram. I'm a little bit of a jerk, I guess.
Well, this is where I realized he wasn't him, and I was like, oh, okay, but he's still cool, so whatever.
That's the thing about reading in comics, is that people pronounce it differently in their heads, and then you get to have the really ridiculous debate on how the name is really pronounced.
I'm just going to say Galad from now on, because I'm glad to say Galad.
Yeah, I guess it's Gil for short.
Again, at this point, I've also made an observation that there have been a lot of movie references, whether they were intentional or just me being the movie guy that I am. Got Death Race 2000, of course, and then there was a line where the nun Tommy said "Escape from New York," which is a movie, and then there was also Cannonball Run, and then there's The Day the Earth Stood Still, clap to Barak Nikto.
Oh, so you're ruining one of my Easter eggs. Klaatu Barada Nikto, yes. I love that reference.
What does that mean, by the way?
I can't remember. It has something. It does mean something in the movie, but I've seen that movie only once.
Yeah, so. I've never seen it,
and I never saw the Keanu Reeves one.
I've never seen it, and while Archer's reading it, Armstrong says, "You better not finish that." If I had seen the movie, then possibly I would know why he's not supposed to finish that. I don't know what it means.
And then they're in the Vatican, the hidden Vatican library.
Yep.
And there's a little cool reveal there. We learn that the church knows about the vine.
Right. Tommy was reading the scripture, or whatever it was. The vine, she says something about the vine. I was kind of expecting to see a panel of Man of War somewhere. I thought that was neat. Also, not to go off topic but in one of those panels, it looks like Archer's looking at a centerfold in one of the pictures.
Yeah, yes.
Is that what he's doing?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So I'll tell you why I like Tommy. She and Archer are having an argument about Armstrong, and she looks at him and she says, "My faith is not so weak it can be threatened by a differing opinion." I just thought that was a great line.
She has a point.
She also says, just before she dies, it's the dissenting voice that's most worth preserving. I just appreciated her perspective there because we're reading a very humorous comic. I just like those two lines a lot. I wish that more people would follow her advice.
You got to have faith.
Yes. But when they're talking about faith this time, they're not talking about Harbinger.
They're not talking about the person.
No.
They're talking about the thing.
They're talking about the thing. Also in favorite lines, we meet up with Mary Maria. Archer tries to convince Mary Maria that their parents are terrible. She doesn't believe him. Then she sees Armstrong and she's like, oh God, it's Voldemort. And she shoots... And she shoots him in the eyes, and he's blinded. And Armstrong is fighting off these guys. And he says, "Why don't my fists have ears?"
He said that's good too. I laughed. I haven't laughed so hard while reading any of these comics until I've read this one line. When she shoots him in the eyes, he goes, "Oh, this makes you very slightly less hot." Which then I was thinking, in what way does it make her less hot? Is it because he can't see her, or is it because the fact that she shot him in the eyes? So this whole time when he's like trying to find her while he's blinded was so funny, just watching his dialogue in the background. I have one more thing about book 3 before we go into book 4, and that's when Tommy dies. You already talked about this earlier, but I was really trying hard to make out what she said because you could see a little bit of scribble, very, 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 very faint amount of scribble in her word balloon. And I was trying to make it out, and I got every
Armstrong,
Terry, you're getting Armstrong, and then I saw 7. So I was thinking maybe she's saying there's a 7th piece of the boon because I know there's 6. But then we kind of find out that that's not at all what she said.
Yeah, I can't read it. It's too...
It took me a while to... I was looking at it at all different angles, trying to figure it out. And then I thought I could have sworn I saw just a smudged 7. Which I thought I was like, ooh, I think I found something.
Honestly, I didn't even notice that there was faint writing there till you just mentioned it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
See, that's how faint it was.
Yeah.
All right, and then going on to book 4.
So book 4 is a total Valiant geek's dream. I mean, it's just filled with all these references to stuff that I was so excited to hear about. It's got Elliot Zorn, Geomancer, the Satchel, the Book of Geomancer, the Fist and Steel. Oh my God, when I read this issue the first time, it was like, that is what I want. I just want to read about these things that people don't know. I said Elliot Zorn just now. You probably don't even remember reading that name.
No, I do remember reading that name because
Okay.
I thought it was a person from history.
No, it's not.
I thought there was
It's a villain of the Geomancer. So we learned that Aram got his immortality from the boon, which is kind of sad in a way, because we learned that he lives forever or for a longer period of time because of the deaths of all those people. We also learn at the very end... Oh, no. I can't say that.
First of all, what does the green text mean?
The green text is when the green dragon llamas are conversing with each other in their minds.
Can other people hear them, though?
Yes, they're telepathic, yes.
Okay.
And then we see the green text in the Akashic record. So the text boxes that we've been seeing where it says ninjutsu or capoeira, those are when we're viewing Archer accessing the Akashic record, and we learn that the green dragon llamas can also access the Akashic record because we see green text boxes versus black text boxes.
Oh, I didn't realize that was him accessing the Akashic record.
I think that's what those are.
I thought it was just a narrator saying, "Oh, this is what he's doing."
I thought that that's what they were at first as well, but when we see the black and the green, it makes me think that that's what's happening.
So, in the 4th book, it appears that Archer's parents are the Nazis instead, because in the 1st book, Archer was recounting what his parents said when he was in New York, and he said, "Mom and Pop always taught us Manhattan is a rat's nest of liberal, Marxist, atheist Nazis who want to rob us of our freedom." And it turns out his parents are, well, there's the Nazi symbol right there, and they're not, and their parents are right there.
Well, they're not. The Green Dragon Llamas are Nazis. His parents are a part of another division of the sect, which is the Dominion. So the sect has lots of different groups in it. We're specifically introduced to the Dominion, the 1%, the Sisters of Perpetual Darkness, and the Green Dragon Llamas. We are also vaguely alluded to the Hashish Eaters and the Thuggee of Mumbai as other divisions of the sect. The sect is a large group with lots of different membership. So the Dominion is working with the Green Dragon Llamas. The Dominion are Archer's parents.
Ooh. Okay.
Yeah.
That's a lot to take in.
Yeah, there's a lot going on there. Yep.
I'll be honest, I probably won't remember that.
Oh, you will, because they'll bring it back up.
Oh, okay.
And they bring it up in a way that you'll remember.
We are in a new book. I was wondering if it's Tuesday again, and then it says in here...
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
It's Tuesday.
Uh-oh, it's Tuesday. It's Tuesday again. So this is when I realized that it didn't really matter at all. The full page spread, by the way, in the beginning of book 4 is tremendously hilarious. The end of days.
Yep.
Yes, sir. And it's got all the hands pointing to who Archer and Armstrong are. And it's, screw it, it's too complicated. This is part 4. That was pretty cool. So now Archer's dad, I think, is being interrogated by one of the Dragon Llamas because the Dragon Llamas are like, you dragged them here, you brought them here, why did you do that? And then the dad says that they got Archer from a secret military compound in Nevada. Now, I made that reference. Is this the same military compound that Bloodshot erased off the map? Because I remember there's a totally buried compound in Nevada that Bloodshot exterminated.
It's not the compound that was buried in the desert in Nevada, but it is the compound that Bloodshot, Kara, and Melissa are heading to right now.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay.
So, why was he there? Why would Archer be there? I can't wait for you to read the next volume of Bloodshot.
You can't wait for me to read every.
I can't wait for you to read everything.
I just love how all stories are interconnected, and I'm really, one of my favorite things about this is finding those little tie-ins. Like, oh, that goes into that story, that comes from this story, and I'm just looking forward to where all these other little things will come from, no matter how small. Like you said, where we saw Gilad in Man of War, and I didn't even know it. And then we see Mary Maria with a Tesla gun, which
she gets out of the satchel.
Yeah, she gets out of
What else does she see in the satchel?
It's bottomless.
What else does she pull out?
Well, she pulls out the Holy Grail
I know.
Yeah.
That's a pretty cool satchel to have, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think she should alert the Monty Python that she has it. I don't remember where this was, but there was another funny sound effect. It was right after the boon went off, I think, when it made the noise, crack a bathroom. I don't know if anybody noticed that, but crack a bathroom! Because the boon looks like a porta potty, maybe? I don't know.
Yeah, it does say bathroom.
It's got so many O's in it, and it's all in one word. You don't really notice it.
That's pretty funny.
I found something you didn't notice.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So we find out about the Geomancer.
Yeah. Who's this guy?
So they don't really explain what the Geomancer is.
Nope. That's one of my questions.
Okay. So I'm not going to answer that question, because the Geomancer is something that we're going to learn a lot about in the next volume. Suffice to say, the Geomancer is a person who speaks for the Earth. And then the Geomancer dies.
Yeah.
And it is hilarious. notice how he dies?
Yeah,
he's like, you did it! Boom!
Poor guy.
Archer, we've been led to believe that Archer is kind of talking to God.
Yeah.
Throughout this whole time, but he's not. He's talking to
Ivar, which before I didn't think it was God. I thought it was a hallucination on his part.
You thought he was hallucinating?
Yes.
But he's talking to Ivar, and why? How can he talk to Ivar?
The archaic method. No, wait. What is it called?
The Akashic record. No. Ivar is trapped in the boon.
Oh, is I did not realize that.
I'm telling you.
Thank God.
Aram's lived for a long time, and Ivar has existed for a long time. And then the other brother's dead.
No, he's not dead. You know why? Because he's called the Eternal Warrior, and on the very last page it says, next, Wrath of the Eternal Warrior. Yes! Can't wait to read about him.
So, and this is what Armstrong says about him. First of all, he refers to the Eternal Warrior as the Fist and Steel. The Fist and Steel was always the Eternal Warrior's nickname. And then he says, the man the earth won't let die. So, Armstrong is immortal because of the boon, because he gained all the life energy that the boon took. Ivar seems to be immortal because he's trapped within the boon. And the Eternal Warrior is immortal because the earth won't let him die. So they're all immortal for different reasons, which is kind of neat.
Yeah, the boon can keep people immortal for different reasons.
And who else is not dead? Mary Maria.
Mary Maria's not dead yet either.
Last 4 panels.
Yeah.
She looks pissed.
Who's she pissed off at?
I don't want to tell you. I don't want to tell you why she looks pissed.
I hope she's not pissed off at Archer, because she seems to really like Archer.
She's got some eye thing going on, though.
I noticed her eyes looked pissed. They didn't look,
They're nothing.
Oh. I thought that was just from blind hatred of somebody that she was... That's the way I took it. But...
Something's happened to her.
Oh, she's the fourth?
I'm not saying she's immortal.
She's something.
Something's happened to her.
She's something. All right. Now we're at the end of the 4 books, and I have lingering questions. Here's a real easy one. Are the Quarian from Mass Effect divine? Because I think I remember them being in the first book.
They're not divine. They're just dudes.
They're just dudes in suits?
Yes.
Okay. How did Tommy get her name? Because Tommy's a guy's name.
She's Sister Thomas Aquinas. So when you're a nun, you can take a male name as your nun name.
Okay.
And often they do that to pay reverence to a person that they like in the Bible.
If Armstrong has, he said, 1 million lives in him, does that make him technically immortal? Because what it is alluding to me is that every time he dies, he takes another life that has been poured into him, thereby giving him 999,999 lives left. And if that's the case, what constitutes the usage of one full life? Does the healing of an injury cost 1 life, or is it when he technically dies from too many gunshot wounds?
Good question.
No answer, huh? Is that a good question? I know the answer, but not going to tell you, or a good question? I have no idea.
They touch more on this in Volume 4.
Okay, all right. So there's a slight answer.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's
a good question. That's very observant of you. Here I go again. In the original Valiant universe, the 3 brothers were immortal, and that was it. There was no reason why. They just were. Okay? And so, to me, when I was reading this, it never occurred to me why he was immortal and if there was any penalty for being immortal. And really, it didn't occur to me until I read the 4th volume.
And even so, it seems, if that's the case, that he is aware that he might die at some point, because when Mary was going to drop him, he says, "Oh, I'll be fine, I hope."
Yeah.
Maybe he knows. And the very last question I had is back at the time when Archer and Mary Maria meet up. Mary Maria realizes that Archer has been blinded by Satanists or whatever she said. Archer at this point says Armstrong's name to her. Why didn't she acknowledge in any way that, one, he knows he should not be named name, and two, now she knows it. What does that mean for her? None of this was acknowledged, because earlier, when Armstrong introduced himself to Archer was like, oh crap, you told me your name. I'm not supposed to know your name. But now Mary Maria knows that Armstrong is he who shall not be named, but now she knows his name. But there was no mention of, oh, you know his name, or why did you tell me his name, and things like that. I was wondering why there was no kind of banter between the two about that.
I really think it's not a big deal.
It probably isn't a big deal. It's just I found it interesting that Archer made a big deal that now he knows his name when he still believed, but she didn't.
Well, he's a little bit more uptight than the normal person.
But everybody says he who shall remain nameless, or whatever it is. He should not, I don't know.
She seems stunned by what he's saying.
But she doesn't say anything. I mean, if you grew up your entire life thinking you were not supposed to say this guy's name ever, and then all of a sudden you hear it.
But she's different. She ran away.
She ran away because she was on a secret mission from her parents.
She ran away before that. She said that in the whisper.
I thought that was a cover-up story. That
I just think that he has a stick up his ass, and that it really doesn't matter if anybody hears his name, and most people know his name, and they don't care. I just think his parents were saying it in such a way to make him...
They were manipulating his...
Yeah. Easter eggs! Woo! Easter eggs are the best. So, issue number 1 had a couple of really cool Easter eggs. There's a scene where they're naming all of Archer's brothers and sisters, and 2 of the names are Dinesh and Barry. Dinesh is the CCO of Valiant Comics. Barry is in reference to Barry Windsor Smith, who was the first writer on Archer and Armstrong from the original series. There's also, when he's leaving the compound, he says, bye Dinosaur Flo, bye Cave Woman Andy.
Yeah, that was a funny line.
In the original Valiant series, Armstrong has a wife. Her name is Andromeda, and he calls her Andy, and she has a pet dinosaur. In New York City, we see the Valiant compass in Times Square on one of the screens, which is kind of cool. And also, in the very opening scene where young little Rush is looking at the display for the display in the Creation Museum, there's a plaque, and the plaque says on it, Lorem ipsum dolor sit amet, blah, 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 keeps going on and on and on. So I looked that up because I thought that sounded weird. And lorem ipsum is a kind of a text that you put in things as a placeholder. It doesn't really mean anything. It's just kind of gibberish. But it's a specific kind of gibberish that people put in when they want something to look like it has words in it.
Okay.
And the whole text, you can type the whole text from that little plaque into Google, and
Interesting.
There it is. Yeah.
There's something that's similar in theater. I forget what the phrase is, but it's similar to rabble. And if you get like enough people saying it, then it sounds like a whole bunch of conversation.
Yeah, when I did theater, every theater group has a different one. But when I did theater, it was hug-a-mugger.
Hug-a-mugger.
Hug-a-mugger, 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 hug-a-mugger. Judgy part of the show?
Cover time. Is this what we're doing?
Let's pick a cover.
Okay.
What's your favorite cover, Nick?
My favorite cover, it was a difficult decision between the one between number 4 Pearson, regular, and number 4 Doe variant.
This is drawn by Juan Doe. Oh, that's just the pull box variant, and then this is the regular cover to number 4 drawn by Pearson, whose first name I'm not really sure of. So you like both covers for number 4.
I like both, but I'm going to go with the one by Pearson because, for a stupid reason, because it looks like art from Samurai Champloo.
It does look like art from Samurai Champloo. Yeah, this is a cool cover. It's much more stylistic than the others. I like it. I like that cover.
There are a lot of other covers that I really like. I mean, the one by
the one poster is very popular. A lot of people love the one.
I can understand why, because it's just just the way that it's done. And the other one that I liked this one, number 2, Zurcher.
That's the 1 in 25 variant for issue number 2, Patrick Zurcher's. Yep,
that one, and then
and the regular cover for number 2, which is Arturo Lozzi's with all the arrows in his back.
Yep.
Yep.
That was going to be my favorite. But I just ended up on this one because it looks like art from Samurai Champloo.
Yeah, it's a pretty cover. I like it. My favorite cover, I'm curious when we're going to have one that we both like at the same time. My favorite cover is the 1 in 20 variant for issue number 1 by David Aja. I just like his art. David Aja is doing a run on Hawkeye right now, and it's really worth picking up.
Okay.
Or Aja. Maybe it's Aja. I don't know.
Here we go with the pronunciations again. So now I guess we get to choose whether we liked it or not.
So did you like it, Nick? I feel like you liked it.
Yeah. When you first gave it to me, I was really skeptical, just
Again?
like I was for Bloodshot, because when I look at the cover, the original cover, I just see an Irish drunk beating the crap out of people. And I thought it was going to be just again, as I just said, this generic Irish O'Connor guy just beating the crap out of people just because he's drunk, just for no other reason. So I didn't know what to expect. And even though it may have seemed like I had lots of questions or kind of just found things that seemed to have maybe possibly irked me or I had a small issue with, I actually really did enjoy this one. After we start getting into the story about the pieces of the boon and the comedy that's with it, really helped make the characters 3D in my view. And it's the dynamic between Archer and Armstrong is completely, they're both opposites of each other, and just having them together it's just a really good idea for a duo. Be together and just see how they react to each other.
This is my favorite of the titles.
Oh, really? I hadn't noticed, but your extreme enthusiasm over it for the last 3 weeks.
Yeah, no, this is my favorite.
Is this your favorite trade or story?
This is my favorite title. Fred Van Lente is a hilarious writer. The art is done by Clayton Henry. Clayton Henry is the best artist of the 4 books that we've read, I think. His lines are very clean and crisp. There's no confusion as to who any character is at any moment with the way that they're drawn. He kind of forms the Valiant house style as well for how things are going to be drawn later. Yeah, this is my favorite. Buy it. I love it. I love this story. I could read all the volumes in a row, and it's a lot of fun.
I mean, if you're looking for a non-serious story or a story that doesn't take itself seriously, this is definitely the one to go for, because it's just having fun.
It's a fun comic. Yeah.
It has its serious moments, and it knows that it is a story and that it needs to have development and all that stuff. I mean, it's got all the story elements there, but at the same time, it's just having fun, which is cool. You don't really get that. That's not what I expect in comics. I expect dark stories like Batman or Superman or Spider-Man, which I've never read, but that's just what I expect. Except for 455.
455. Yeah. So, this is the end of the first wave of comics. When Valiant launched as a company, they launched 4 titles. And this is the end of the first wave of them. So, of the 4 volumes that we've read, what's your favorite so far, Nick?
I'm going to have to say it's...
Give me your order.
My order, number 1 for me is Bloodshot. A very close tie between the two for Harbinger and Archer and Armstrong, and then Man of War.
Interesting that you put Bloodshot first. For me, of the four, just looking at these four trades, I think that Harbinger is the best overall. I would put Archer and Armstrong second at this point in its series. Exo Man of War third, and Bloodshot fourth. So you have Bloodshot first. I have it fourth. I love all four titles. I liked all four titles.
Well, yeah, same here. I really enjoyed all four titles. It's I just connect better with Bloodshot and Harbinger. Like, me as a movie watcher, it's easier for me to follow both of those stories. And the fact that I like things that have to deal with your mind, I like, psychological thrillers and things like that. That's why I really like Harbinger, and I like action and just mindless action. Therefore, I like Bloodshot.
Well, that's a really cool thing about these four books is they're four different genres.
Yeah.
You have sci-fi fantasy with XO. You have psychological thriller, thriller with Harbinger, comedy, with Archer and Armstrong, and that spy action genre with Bloodshot. I think that's really cool. There's a lot of comic companies that are making the same thing. I mean, DC, for the love of God, they have 15 Batman titles. So, at least we have four different things. I really, really quickly wanted to talk about our mission statement again. Trades. The reason that we're doing the trades is because trades are the best way to get new readers. If you want somebody to read a comic, do what I've done and hand a trade to your friend. Because with a trade, you have a complete story. With the single issues, you have month to month. Now, I've done this with a couple people. Nick, you're actually the third person that I've gotten into Valiant Comics.
Oh.
My wife, who never read comics before, she started reading them, which is great.
She's far ahead of me right now.
And my friend Tyler as well, I gave him the complete story arcs, and now he is up to date and begging for the month-to-month issues. He's
really?
Current with it too. So maybe you're going to be a victim just like them.
Well, your wife put on a spoiler image on her Facebook page.
Oh!
Yeah. Well...
Oh no!
It's not really that much of a spoiler, but I do know it had to deal with...
Death of a Renegade?
Yeah, whatever it was. And I forget what she wrote, but I responded to it, and I was like, "Oh, well, thanks for the spoiler." And it was just a dark, shadowy picture of Faith. I was like, "Well, I do know that she's a recurring character."
I also wanted to do really quick further reading. I did it in the first episode, and I didn't do it in the next two. I just want to recommend Action Philosophers by Fred Van Lente. It's hilarious. Action Philosophers, Nick, is a comic. It's a black and white comic. It's drawn by Ryan Dunleavy. The first issue is the story of Thomas Jefferson, but told in Fred Van Lente's humorous style. And he teaches you history, but they have a lot of fun with it as well. Action Philosophers, and also he's just started Action Presidents, and the first issue was George Washington, and on the cover is him wielding an axe with a dead cherry tree behind him, and the cherry tree is scared. So those are great books, and you should pick them up. Next episode, we are in Volume 2s. We're gonna do our
cool.
We're gonna do our first Volume 2. So, what Volume 2 are we gonna be doing?
Ninjak. Oh, Exo Man of War.
Yes, Exo Man of War. You spoil things.
I saw Ninjak at the very last cover of Exo Man of War.
So our next episode is going to be episode 5, Exo Man of War, where we discuss Exo Man of War Volume 2. Enter Ninjak. Here's the cover. I'm handing it to Nick right now.
Oh no! What? His hand's gone, and I didn't do this. There's damage on the spine of this book.
This is Amazon's fault. This book was mailed to me, and Amazon dinged the side. So I am handing Nick a trade that has some damage to it.
Well, I didn't do it. That's as long as you know that.
Yes. The good thing is that trades have no collectible value. You can't buy a trade and then flip it for double the price like you can with issues with comics.
This is ominous here.
That's a very bloody cover.
This is very ominous. I mean, can't really come back from getting stabbed in the face with a katana.
Well, that would require the covers to actually be representative of what happens inside the story. You can join us for our...
Hey.
You can reach us on Twitter at VE Podcast. You can email us. Please email us. Our email address is vepodcast@gmail.com. We have a website. It's vepodcast.wordpress.com. You can find us on iTunes. Please leave us reviews. That's how other people find our podcast. If you review it and rate it, then iTunes will recommend it to other people, and then we can be in more people's ear holes. So please review us. So thank you for listening. We really appreciate it. Have a
good week.
Yeah, thanks for listening.
Before even turning to a page, I already made a reference to the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. The Michelangelo Code. I'm already thinking of Michelangelo. And I'm not thinking TMNT at this point, but then I see the color scheme here. We got blue on Archer, we got red on those things, and then we got green for the turtle. And then we have the orange background, which makes all the color scheme for all the turtles. And by the way, these guys in red...
Where's purple?
Who's purple? That's the...
no Donatello.
There's there's no love for Donatello because he was
Donatello was your favorite growing up.
He was.
When we played the arcade game, you always were Donatello and I was always Leonardo.
I always played Donatello because he had the bow staff and you could be the farthest away from the enemies to play him.
Raphael was the worst.
Raphael was. Nobody ever wanted to be Raphael. He's got the stupid ass size.